Okay, I think we got this. Hello, my name is Abiodun Oke. So this is day number 2, and yeah, I have this privilege to chat about my job search challenge here in Canada. When I came in newly to Canada, and that was 2010. I hope I can keep these below 5 minutes because I saw the feedback on YouTube yesterday that a lot of folks didn't go beyond 2 minutes. So because of the type of what I'm talking about today, I'll keep it below 5 minutes. So it's my hope. All right. So my journey to Canada, okay, started 2010. I remember that was in August. So before then, I already had about 6 years, no, it was 5 years experience, graduating from school, waiting 2 years, looking for a job, interesting that, and this is not something that is new to me. So when it happened that I came into Canada and I had to job search again, um, so I had 5 years experience supply chain management with Shell Petroleum as a contract staff. Then, well, as a contract staff, you know what it is. If you are being in that particular situation, you're always looking for something better. I've been developing myself professionally, just so I could get something better than what I was doing. Okay, and then, well, as it is, also employment in that particular scenario has to do with the politics of the staffs, especially those who are permanent, because, those type of opportunities you get them through your connections, right? So when the opportunity came to come to Canada, of course, it was great. It was through my spouse who was moving to Canada. I never expected it at the time, but it happened, and I thought, okay, you know what? I don't think there's a future here. And then also, of course, I know, well, it's all believed there in Africa or wherever it is that the Western countries, have the best economy. I mean, I guess that's the American dream. So everybody kind of have an idea that it's great here on the west side. It's greener on this side. So I took that chance. I answered to that call, and then I came in here to Canada, and what happened is that uh, I waited for about 6 months. Of course, not doing much, and then before you know it, I went back to Nigeria when I got another opportunity. And I think that's something that usually will happen with a lot of people because you come in here and then you realize that, well, this is not the dream, that I kind of had of looking for jobs. Of course, there are a lot of opportunities that came in the way, but it just so happened that things are not working. Basically, you would go to interviews, no responses. You keep sending these applications, no feedback. Nobody even tells you what you need to do better, to improve. So um, that actually prompted me to do one thing in particular. You know what? I started keeping a job search journal. And then what I do with that is I write questions when I go to interviews. I come back from those interviews. I write down, the questions when I still remember them, and then also I try to write the responses that I believe is the best. So this gave me this opportunity to be able to develop, responses where I could then re-ask them, and then I became more confident in answering these questions. But beyond that, there are a lot of challenges, that job seekers go through here in Canada for sure. You thought you're great, you're awesome and all that, and then you come in here and you say stuff, you say things, and you try to communicate, and then you realize that it looks like this person didn't hear what you said. Well, guess what? Welcome to Canada, because you know what? Those are some of the challenges that has to do with cultural, um our culture basically back home. The way we speak English, of course, is different from the way it's spoken here. Regardless that you had fantastic diction, pronunciation, and all that, some folks will not still hear what you're saying. So you know and the way I started the Kaizen then became that I started using a job search journal. So that was the very first tool that I started using in job search Kaizen, and to address specifically my confidence level at interviews. But I think I haven't done research into this area for some times now. I realize that I've developed some other tools that are more advanced, basically, especially in the area of the communication that I talked about. We uh, we are looking at having a communication strategist to come here in Winnipeg, sometimes in June, to help us with these communication challenges, this barrier, which of course it impacts the outcome, in your interview, because in the end, it's about who is able to impress the hiring manager. You may have been able to meet HR expectation, and that's how you go to the interview. But guess what? You haven't yet met the hiring manager's interview, and that's what determines if you're going to be hired or not. If you're not speaking confidently, and your accent sucks, that nobody keep really hear what you're saying, or they are finding it difficult to hear you clearly, then regardless of how fantastic your experience is or your resume sounds, on paper, there are clearly some situations there, because you're going to be interacting with colleagues, with clients, and with customers, and all that. And then, of course, for you to be able to perform in that role, especially if you're in supply chain, project management, human resources, anything that has to do with customers, suppliers, and all that, it is very critical that you're able to communicate effectively. So that is it for today. I talked a little bit about my job search journey in Canada. I think there will be a part two year where I need also go in some details, which I'm not able to go to because I wanted to keep this to 5 minutes. Okay, that's it for today. Day number two. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.